folks, Will Brink here, brinkzone.com. Topic I'm going to cover is actually going in the opposite direction of what most people's videos and articles and such are about. Most of my videos and articles, as well as most others, is about weight loss, because most people need to lose weight, and that is their focus. But there are a small percent of people, usually young guys, but not always, who cannot gain weight. That is actually a fairly common question that I get, much to the probably chagrin of all those people that are suffering dieting, trying to lose weight, is, Will, how do I gain weight? I can't gain weight. And I'm going to say the majority of those people are usually young guys, but not, like I say, but not always. And I've been in this business doing this type of thing for 30 plus years now, so what I'm going to do is just give you everybody's reason for not being able to gain weight might be a little different as to why they're not, but I'm going to give you the broad strokes, the big reasons that I see generally why most people don't gain weight who are trying to gain weight. Actually, I mixed up a cup of my bomb-proof coffee for this video, and check here for a free recipe if you haven't checked that out. Great stuff. Anyway, so on the weight gaining, a couple of primary mistakes that I see over and over and over again, and they're really pretty simple to fix, but again, you have to actually address them. I meet a young guy, I'm in the gym, or I get an email, "Hey Will, I can't gain weight," and my first response is always, "Okay, so what are you eating and how much?" And the response is usually, "I eat a lot." Well, a lot is not a number. A lot doesn't mean anything. It's a subjective, response. When you push them, that is when I make them say write down what they ate for the last week or so, it's not as a lot as they think it is. In fact, the calorie count is not usually as high as they expect it to be. And so one of the simplest things, which I had to do as a young guy, when I started out, is write down what you eat and track the calories and really see if you're getting as many calories in as you think. And when I started, back in the day, I had to do it by pencil and paper and a calorie book and a calculator, and it was frankly a pain in the ass. Today, of course, you've got all these online free apps that you can plug into your food, give you calories, it'll tell you how much you should eat, so take advantage of those. But, as a kid, as a teenager, I had a real difficulty putting on weight. In, 15, 16 years old, I was 130 pounds, I was a scrawny kid. And it wasn't until I really got consistent with figuring out what I was really eating and how much of it and how many calories that was before I started to actually make some progress and start to get a weight that I wanted to, 150 to 160, 170, and I have been over 200 pounds, not ripped obviously, but I wasn't fat, I can tell you that. So that is the most obvious thing when I hear some kids say, "Well, I eat a lot." Sometimes I'll even say, "Well, okay, what did you eat for breakfast?" And the response is, "I didn't have breakfast." Well, that's the end of the conversation. I mean, if you're not even eating breakfast, there's really no reason to even talk about this, to be honest with you. And sometimes my response is, "Okay, eat breakfast and get back to me, and then we'll take it from there." So it's a very simple thing, I know, but when I hear, "Oh, I eat a lot," it's really often not as much as you think it is. And I will get to what that really means in a second. 2, consistency. Many times what I see is they may eat a lot 2 or 3 days out of 7 or 3 out of 7, but it's not consistent. And when I say consistent, I mean week after week, month after month, year after year, especially if you're a younger guy who's really having trouble cutting weight on. What I do, like I say, consistency is often the problem. And again, if you get down to writing it down, over time you won't need to do that. You'll know what is enough and really is enough, but a lot of times they just don't. And so what they think is a lot is only 2,500 calories or 3,000 calories, which again, if you have a difficult time putting on weight, you are naturally thin, you need to eat a lot of calories. And by a lot, that can be 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 calories. And that's not that easy to do. Again, a lot of people suffer on diets and they're miserable and stuff. You know what? Eating a lot of food like that, trying to put weight on, is also not that comfortable. It's not that fun. And it's something you also sort of have to force yourself to do when you're really trying to put the weight on. For example, when I was a teenager trying to put weight on, by a lot, I mean my breakfast consisted of a dozen eggs, 6 egg yolks, 12 whites, on top of toast with peanut butter and a big glass of milk. That was breakfast. A lot of times getting calories in is easier to do it just by drinking it, and so between meals I would often make a drink of whole milk, ice cream, frozen bananas, protein powder, and various other things. Now that, I don't even know how many calories that was. That was probably 1,000 calories right there. And I would do that several times a day on top of my normal meals. So that's what I mean when I mean a lot. And I will tell you, it wasn't actually that comfortable. But finally, some weight started to come on. 2, exercise programming. The person who has a difficult time putting on weight really needs to focus on minimal amount of time in the gym, focusing on those basic compound movements, multi-joint type movements, squat, bench press, deadlift, standing press, that type of thing. If you're in the gym and you're doing 25 sets for chest and 25 sets for biceps or whatever, you're doing it wrong. So you really need, I'm not going to get into programming, there's a lot of good programs out there, but the point is you should be in the gym maybe no more than 3-4 days per week. You should be getting in there and doing very basic primary type movement patterns, getting out of there in probably under an hour. Most programs, best for people who have difficult putting weight on, probably whole body programs are actually pretty good. Sometimes upper lower split. Again, if you're getting into really tweaky, as they call bro splits, we are doing rear deltoids and upper biceps on Monday and outer calf and upper abdominal on Tuesday and stuff. That is not the program for you. It's not really the program for anybody, but never mind that. We're talking about guys trying to put weight on. So that's mistake number 2 I see. The guys who successfully put weight on, they go in, they do those basic compound lifts, they're working at appropriate loading, which is really going to be in the 80%, 90% 1 RM. That's really about your best 6 to 8 reps type of thing. Again, we're not talking about programming, so I'm going to leave it there. There's more to it than that, obviously. But going into the gym and doing some aerobics, some stretching, doing some functional running around, KB swings, whatever, and then thinking you're going to gain weight, it's not going to happen. Not in the way you want it to anyway. So programming is another one. 3, I see extraneous, what I call extraneous exercise. I see a lot of young guys trying to put weight on, and they'll go work out, and then they'll go to basketball practice for 2 hours, and then they might go ride their bike for an hour, and then they can't figure out why they're not gaining weight. Now, that's fine if that's the stuff you want to do, it's all good, but if your goal is to add some weight, you really have to reduce that extraneous stuff outside of the goal of gaining weight. Obviously, a couple sessions a week of low-intensity aerobics is good for you, and all that. It's not just saying doing nothing, but when you look at somebody's, usually those people that can't gain weight, their daily movement is quite a bit. Like I say, on top of sometimes an overly long workout, it might be 2 hours long, then they're doing a game of pickup basketball, and then they're riding their bike 10 miles and so on and so forth, and it's not hard to see why they're not gaining weight. So the basic stuff here, the macro stuff that matters is to those people who cannot gain weight, usually young guys, is they really don't eat as much as they think they do. They are not as consistent with eating what they think they're eating. Their programs are really not suited to their goals. They tend to run around too much and burn too many calories during the day. And of course, if you really are doing all of those things appropriately and you're not gaining weight, only then you may actually consider getting some blood work done and making sure you're not hyperthyroid or something like that, which is a possibility, but honestly, it's not usually the case. The case is usually those basic macro aspects that I have covered as to why 98% of the population who can't gain weight don't gain weight. So, I hope this info helps, and I'll see you guys on the Brink Zone.